Story 1. We're due to have our baby daughter in 2 weeks and planned ahead of time, so I could stay home for a year with her while I'm nursing. We saved around $26,000, plus we took into consideration that at his job he was making $3,000 a month, $23 hourly. Our bills for the year came to around $46,000. Since we got pregnant, his mom has been super overbearing with the boy mom bullshit. She's been trying to force her way into our lives in ways I'm not okay with. Like trying to convince us to buy a house with her, so she can help raise her baby's baby. My husband actually considered this, and I shot it down immediately. She's been stopping in whenever she feels like it with stuff for him, and him only. She literally brings him food. One serving only enough for him around dinner time, probably 2 to 3 days a week. Saying, "I just know you miss Mama's cooking." She keeps buying him mom and son jewelry, knowing he won't wear jewelry, and tells me he will wear it. She says, "It's a mom and son thing you wouldn't understand," when I tell her he's not gonna wear it. He hasn't worn any of it. She's 100% treating him like he's her husband, calling him to do things for her all hours of the day and night, just trying to get him out of our house and over to hers. If he goes over, she's all like, "Since you're here, I'll let you treat me to a mom and son's date at Denny's." Or when she's here, she'll look at me and tell me how she takes her coffee and expect me to make it for her. I know I'm rambling, but this woman is bat crap crazy. And no, she wasn't like this before me getting pregnant. They barely spoke before I got pregnant. She sunk her claws in when she found out we were having a baby with the whole, "my baby isn't a baby anymore" bullshit. We're literally in our 30s, so if all else wasn't insane enough, she's been trying to convince my husband for at least 3 months to quit his job, search and rescue, and work with her so they could spend more time together. She works at a medical rehab facility. I told him I wouldn't tolerate that for one reason: it's $13 an hour. $10 less an hour than he makes now. I've talked reason with him. If he goes there, I will have to go back to work because $13 an hour cuts his monthly income in half just about. And this is not what we agreed to or planned for. Also, her job is bi-weekly pay, and she doesn't have benefits for a year. He had full benefits at his job. He told me he didn't want to work with this mom and not to worry about it. About 2 months ago he said that. But I just found out last night that he did quit his job, applied at the place his mom works, and bypassed the interview process because mommy vouched for him. So now he has a job with her. I wasn't nice about it when he told me, admittedly. I asked him why the heck he would do that, and he said, "Well, my mom is getting older, and she wanted me to work with her, so we can hang out more before she passes. She's literally 61 and healthy." I slept on it and decided I couldn't do this. I told him this morning that I couldn't do this. I won't be overruled by a woman who refuses to stay in a lane. I won't bow down to a mommy's boy or a woman who grossly won't leave her son alone. He can do it independently, and we can do this separately. I told him I would take the money I saved, $23,000 of the $26,000, and figure it out on my own, and that he needed to leave and go back to mommy at her house. He, for whatever reason, is shell-shocked that I'm taking it this far and says I'm an idiot for not understanding that his mother's getting older and wanting to spend time with him should be important. I'm not budging though. He's allowing her to destroy our lives. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. "Honey, please carry out your plan, grab the baby stuff and the money and leave immediately." With a baby on the way, who thinks it's a good idea to take a 50% pay cut? I'm sorry, but your husband is a mama's boy and a stupid guy. This is really bizarre and sick. The 50% pay cut and loss of benefits for a year. If they're in the US, a hospital stay for labor and delivery will be at least $20,000. Then there are all the postnatal and infant checkups for the first year. I'm shocked he gave up the medical benefits. What the heck is wrong with this guy? And being blindsided that his wife asked for a divorce after he made a huge, life-altering decision that she specifically told him not to, and he'd agreed upon. No, sir. That is not the action of a good husband and father. Enjoy extra time with your mommy, making minimum wage and paying child support. It's insane. Mother-in-law managed to convince him to voluntarily put himself and his family into a worse financial position so that he feels vulnerable and reliant on her and can't grow into his person. What a nasty narcissist. I don't mean to victim blame because mother-in-law has likely been grooming her son his entire life to be merely an extension of herself. But like, what the heck? I just can't fathom how so many adult children allow themselves to be manipulated like this to the point that their whole marriage implodes. You are the idiot. He has a job. You're just mad you have to go back to your job. I told him I won't tolerate that. It's not a way a marriage works. Solve things as a family. Communicate, do therapy, whatever it takes. And remember, being a single mom will be great fun. It's definitely better than being stuck with a mommy's boy who clearly doesn't respect you enough to have a grown-up discussion about taking a new job with a huge baker. I told him he needed to leave and go back to mommy at her house. Wow, girl, you didn't mince words, did you? It's okay, he needed to hear them point blank. You are 100% correct on this. Protect yourself and your baby. Also, congratulations, I wish you an easy and safe delivery. Update, am I the idiot for telling my husband that I can't do this anymore? I want to touch base on finances quickly for the people commenting. Being a single mom is going to be great. If he were to leave, and we got divorced, my bills would be reduced by at least a quarter if not more. I've been helping him pay off his student loan debt for 5 years, and the price keeps increasing, so there's no end in sight. With the $23,000 I've saved, I could pay for my home and bills for a year and a half. When I add his bills and his debt to the equation, it won't even cover a year. I'm not afraid of single motherhood. He would be involved regardless of whether we separate as well. He signed a prenup. I owned the house long before we started dating. I withdrew my $23,000 from the bank and put it in my personal. The $23,000 is mine. I left him his $3,000. I already spoke to an attorney, and I'm in the clear to do so because I have a paper trail on what was mine versus what was his. I'm an accountant. Numbers and money are my specialty. I have it all handled legality-wise. I've suggested therapy multiple times over the years because he had pretty noticeable abandonment issues before all this. His mom was never around and left him home by himself from age 3+, so she could go to work or go to the laundromat or grocery shopping, to the point of cops being involved. She laughs about it, but it messed him up. He refuses all therapy. He says it's a waste of time. Not sure if he would change his tune, knowing his marriage is on the line. Story 2. I, 33 female, have a cousin, 32 female, who has always competed with me. I didn't care because the idea of let's see who is better is just foreign to me. We applied to the same university, but she didn't get in. She ended up going to another university which she then claimed was better anyway. Again, I couldn't care less. I was just happy she wasn't at the same school, so I didn't have to put up with this nonsense anymore. Fast forward to now, we see each other at family gatherings twice a year, have job bullshit, are past the point of comparison, etc. I had a baby boy last year, and we named him a common name. Nothing like a grandfather's name. Many people have his name, and I claim no ownership of that name. Last month my cousin delivered a baby boy. When she and her husband announced she was pregnant, they knew they were having a boy but refused to share the name they'd picked for him. I made nothing of it, though they probably just wanted to feel special and announce the name in a big way, or that maybe they'd chosen some made-up name and didn't want our family to judge them for it or try to talk them out of it. I asked her about the name again, and she said they're not sharing it, and that even her parents don't know. I said okay and dropped it. Last month she delivered the baby and surprise, surprise, she named her son the same name my toddler has. I was shocked at first and didn't understand why they kept the name a secret and didn't tell me. I don't mean to ask for my permission, because obviously I don't have copyrights to that name, but at least say, hey, would that bother you? We love the name, just wanted to let you know, etc. That is what I would have done at least. I would have even asked my colleague or a neighbor, not just a friend or family, if I was about to name my kid the same name they named theirs. My mom thinks I'm overreacting, and that there's nothing to it, People can name their kids whatever they like. I agree, and I guess I'm not angry that they chose the same name because that is in a way flattering, but that they kept it a secret, and I can't think of any good reason why, other than they knew it wasn't nice and wanted to avoid having to justify their decision or risk me telling them I don't agree, and that they should choose another name. I'm angry with my cousin, and now whenever someone mentions our son's names, I do not know who they're referring to. I refuse to call her son by his name so far. I only refer to him as the baby or the little one, which I know is awful because the poor kid is in no fault here. But I just can't say the name and not think of my kid. Anyway, I might still be mad about the childhood competition, so my judgment isn't clear. I am here for an insight. Am I the idiot for making a big deal out of it? Edit, the kids don't have middle names, which is not common where I'm from, and they have different last names. You are the idiot for your attitude about what is a non-issue. You barely see this cousin twice a year, and I doubt her baby comes up in every conversation you have with other people. As much as you insist you couldn't care less, and you're not angry about this cousin and her life, you do care. A lot. Elmao. You named your child something you admit is common, and then you sit there with a surprised Pikachu face about someone else having the same name. You don't own a name. What happens when that innocent kid gets older and starts to comprehend your resentment for him? And it starts to hurt when you call him by his name. What if your son brings home a friend with the same name? Are you going to call him that kid? Get over yourself. No, Opie, not the idiot for not liking your cousin's choice of names for her kid. What is her problem anyway? It sounds like your cousin wanted to push your buttons with all the secrecy, and sadly, until now, it sounds like she succeeded. The solution could be to refer to your child as the firstborn as Big Harry or whatever the name is, and your cousin's kid as Little Harry. You can embrace it by telling your cousin you're so happy she loved your son enough to name hers after him. Smother her with kindness. This is exactly what Op should do. Kill her with kindness. Tell everyone to comment on her social media posts, and say in person how honored you are that she named her baby after yours. If she denies it, just say with a wink, okay, it's our little secret. My daughter is in the 3rd grade. She's a really good kid, but is in a rough class with many behavior issues and disrespect. I have a very favorable impression of her teacher, and she appears to have good management skills. It just seems to be a bad group. On Friday the 12th, a few weeks ago, the Friday before Martin Luther King Day, and the 3-day weekend, my daughter's teacher tried to read the class a story about the life of MLK on the carpet at the very end of the day. Just after school ended that day, she made a very long and unhappy post on the platform teachers use to communicate with parents at our school. She said the class behavior she experienced while trying to read the story was by far the worst behavior she's ever encountered in over a decade of teaching. She went on about how unbelievably disrespectful, rude, disinterested, and off-task the students were. She said she had to send multiple people to the office, and that she had to stop the story midway through since the kids were being so rude, and had everyone put their heads down at their desks with the lights off. Lots of kids continued to make noise, giggle, whisper, and she had to call a staff member from the office to come to the classroom. I asked my daughter about it, and she gave additional details. One boy got sent to the office for making a very disrespectful joke about MLK's death. Another boy got sent because he got up and did a weird dance while she was reading and wouldn't stop. And another boy got sent outside for blowing into his elbow and making a huge fart sound. She said she didn't act up, which her teacher confirmed when my wife talked to her, but that most other kids were talking, making noise and being rude as well. The following week, her teacher announced some whole class consequences. 1. The whole class spent their recesses on the wall on the Tuesday they returned. The 3 boys I talked about earlier were on the whole week. 2. They had extra homework assignments each night that work on MLK that added about 15 extra minutes of homework per night. 3. The class Valentine's Day party is canceled where the kids design Valentine's boxes and have a party exchanging gifts, eating candy and listening to music. She said they'll have a social studies test when the other classes have their party. My daughter was upset about the canceled party and has been complaining that it's unfair because she didn't act up. My wife agrees, and these past couple of weeks she's been complaining a lot about her teacher, which I'd never heard her do previously. Yesterday she said something about wanting to complain to the principal, and I told her she sounded like a Karen. I said I applauded her teacher for not taking crap and giving the kids some real consequences and said, "Life isn't always fair, deal with it." This made her mad. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. This type of punishment breeds resentment. I always hated this crap when I was a kid. Why behave if I'm gonna get punished either way? This is the lazy way out. If this teacher can't control her students, the administration must step in. Homework should not be used as a punishment. Your wife advocating for her child, who has been wrongfully punished, is not being a Karen. Then you're going to wonder why your daughter doesn't like school. Who wants to go somewhere where they're punished for being good? I disagree, not the idiot. I respect your teacher for doing that. Instead of your wife complaining, why not take your daughter out for a family day to reward your daughter for her excellent behavior? Maybe lunch, the park, or even shopping at a local candy store. I'm sure your wife and daughter would agree to have a fun day. This way, it's a win-win for everybody. I don't understand why she can't send the kids who didn't misbehave to a party, or have the party but send the kids who misbehaved to a study classroom, or the library, or somewhere else. In my state, taking recess away from kids is illegal, so I'd be mad at that. I'd be mad that my daughter's entire class was being punished collectively instead of individually when my child had no part in it. If the behavior problems in the class are so bad, the teacher is not the right one to handle them, or she isn't getting support from the admin to do so. Whatever it is, it's not working. Is it 5 kids out of 30 that misbehave, or is it more than half the class? If it's the latter, I would have moved my child out months ago. My sister and I were raised by Asian immigrant parents. We were raised with that culture and the American culture. I still celebrate that culture as much as I can, and am raising my kids with as much of the culture as I can. The issue has been with my sister for a while. She's completely given up her root culture. She made a huge deal about having an American wedding. She doesn't celebrate any of the holidays she grew up doing. The worst part is she forbade my parents for including her kids in the culture. The big blow-up with me happened when she asked me to serve American food when they were over. That hurt me significantly, and we haven't been close since. My parents, on the other hand, keep trying until now. My niece, their granddaughter, is having a sweet 16. She sent invites and my parents aren't going. It's a big deal because our culture has its own coming-of-age ceremony for women. I think this disregard of the culture was the last straw for them. My parents think she's ashamed of her roots and doesn't want to be somewhere where she dislikes where she came from. I agree with them. I got a call from her, and she asked if I was going. I told her no. She got very upset and explained that no one on her side was going. I told her she can't be surprised since she's snubbed her root culture for all these years and everyone is done. She gave up on her culture, and no one wants to feel ashamed since she dislikes everything we grew up with. She called me a jerk, and I'm having second thoughts. Everyone's the idiot here. While her asking you to serve American food when your niece is overstepping, and her general lack of interest in her family's culture is sad. She's not wrong for leaning into raising her child more American. It sounds like your sister sees herself as American, and obviously she will raise her children as American. To refuse to attend important events for your niece, who's done nothing wrong here, just because you feel hurt her mother isn't participating in cultural events, is just bad. You and your parents are wrong about that. Why did your sister give up on her culture? Your words. Maybe she was bullied about it when she was growing up. And if so, perhaps your parents didn't support her when she needed them to. Maybe you didn't support her when she needed you to. You made all these assumptions and statements about her, but you never mentioned if you actually talked to her about it. The same goes for your parents, so try talking to her about it. Also, it sucks that your parents don't want to celebrate their granddaughter unless it follows their cultural practices. Thanks for listening.